Borough fans, hello and welcome back to Season 8 on the Stevenage Football Club podcast. And as you can see in the title, the big season preview, episode 8. We are only 3 days away from the biggest season ever for us. Probably the best League One. Well, a lot of people are calling it the best League One they've ever seen. Oh my God, we are 3 days away from the big kickoff. And I've just got to tell you guys, I know that you probably expected to hear this, but this is the most excited I have ever been for a season. We're here, the big kickoff, the big week, the big season preview, the big season. And yeah, guys, welcome back onto the podcast. If you are watching live, guys, please make sure that you get your questions and you get your comments in the comment section. I have got a very special guest that I'm going to be introducing in a little bit to go through with us on our big season preview. If you've got any questions for our guest, you're going to know who it is in a bit. You probably already know who it is. Please fire them away in the comments. If you are listening on the pre-record or watching on the pre-record, make sure to give us a follow, like, and a subscribe. That would be amazing. Now, we did try to do this last night, but I called it the audio devil took over. I think the audio devil was Andy because me and Gab have come on and there's no echo. So fingers crossed it doesn't come on. Guys, I will warn you, if an echo does start to reappear, we're just going to cancel the pod. And maybe it just was never meant to be. But fingers crossed we don't have that issue. Without further ado, let's get our guest on. Now, I love getting this guest on for season previews and 6-month previews and all of that, because this guest has, I call it a thesaurus amount of knowledge on the EFL and more so League One. And I'm very, very happy to have this individual back on to speak about this amazing league that we're about to compete in 3 days, and also to have a chat on us, which is going to be brilliant. So without further ado, welcoming back for the first time on Season 8 on the Stevenage Football Club podcast, not only is he our very good pal, but it is also EFL expert and host of the EFL debate, Gab Sutton. Yes. How are you, Gab?
Hello.
He's here. No echo. You watch. We'll be about 20 minutes in, great dialogue, and then all of a sudden, oh no.
Oh God.
And he comes on screen. No.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, what could go wrong? Gab, I saw you 24 hours. How's your last 24 hours been?
My last 24 hours have been amazing. Absolutely life-changing.
Oh dear me, my man. I know. I felt dreadful yesterday when we did this. I was so excited, and it just went.
It's a real shame when it couldn't quite get to it, but got there in the end.
And by the way, me and Andy just ended it after. We were just like, yeah.
I'm sorry to have.
No,
but I think it's hard. It's tough, isn't it, to keep it? Anyway, really excited about the new season. How are you feeling? How are you feeling about it?
I've got to be honest. And you know me, Gab, right? You know I'm the most bubbling, positive supporter in the world, right? I have never, I'm not, people hear this from me, right? I'm telling you, I have never been this excited for a season in my life. I'm so passionate about our squad. I'm so passionate about this league, this season, the competition and how we can be in this division. I'm so passionate, and honestly, I am so excited. And it kicks off in 3 days. 3. All this build-up. You're going to a game, aren't you? Which game are you going to again, Gab?
I'm at Cheltenham against Rotherham, so I won't see you at Burton. But I'm really excited to see how you got lot get on to start the season, because I suppose for me, as an outside perspective on Stevenage, you've got some really solid defensive foundations that I think even with those main exits are pretty not up for discussion. Like, I think you've got a really solid defence. I think you've got a strong midfield. But I think the big question for me from the outside is, I think you're going to have to improve going forward to make the top six again. I think, can we agree on that? Do you think?
Yeah,
probably. Yeah. So I think for me, it's whether that improvement comes from players that are still to come in, whether Ollie Sanderson surprises us, or whether a Ken Campbell, whether a Phoenix Patterson can hit those new levels. So that's what I'm fascinated to see from the outside.
It is really interesting. I know that we're going to discuss this a little bit later, but I really feel like we knew that this upcoming season was our biggest given the league. And I think I call it the season for us. I think if we do really well, it could really dictate the next few years. Equally, if we don't do well, I think that could dictate the next few years in terms of players leaving. And, so I think for us, it was all about retaining the players that are of that level that have been up the top for the past 3 to 5 years in their career, and then kind of the new players that we brought in to produce.
Oh yeah, looks.
Yeah, I think that's Sonny Bradley. I think it is, isn't it? Looks like it.
That looks more like a Lincoln shirt to me than because they've got that sort of black stripe.
They have,
haven't they?
Yeah, I can tell by the tattoos. I think that's Sonny Bradley. I was going to say it's definitely not Terence Van Cooten or Pidge, so that's definitely. Yeah. Stevenage Brother News afternoon. The channel of 72, Jake Tong, the main man, Gab Sutton. Hope you're well from when I saw you 2 hours ago. There you go, Gab. Jake is watching.
It's been a massive 2 hours, Jake. Everything's changed since then.
Gab's been podding like crazy. Evening, Tyler. Tyler's on as well. Guys, thank you for your comments. We're going to come to the first banner again. I'm literally getting goosebumps speaking about this, but the 26/27 big season kicks off this Saturday. What a division it is, by the way. We're going in and wow. I mean, a lot of people are calling it the best League One that they've seen in a long time. Some have even read they're calling it the best League One ever. It's just unbelievable, the competition throughout the division, right from the very top where the elite team are going to be, and then the competition from 4th or 5th all the way down to 17th is fierce. Gab, before we speak about League One and get into the predictions that you made, kind of what's your kind of take on this league, this upcoming season that is only 3 days away?
Yeah, I think I've obviously done my 1 to 24 predictions, and I think there's probably about 17 teams that I would have put in my top half if I was just looking at them and forgetting the rest of the league. So I think that what that tells you is there's a group of teams that I think it's pretty obvious are either going to struggle or will be sort of doing quite well to be sort of hovering above the drop zone in that kind of 18th or 19th kind of area. So I think there's a sort of a group of 7 teams to me that I see struggling. Mansfield, I suppose, being the outlier in that they're probably more of a niche sort of feeling that I have rather than most people. They would probably put Mansfield a bracket higher up, but I think that for lots of people there's a group of 17 or 18 teams that could easily be in the top half, that could easily be in the top 6, and I think that makes it such an exciting season and so competitive, and I think that we might see a slight return to the split league sort of theory that we had a few years ago, where the haves come back in, and as in the haves versus the have-nots in terms of the financial demands of the league. And I think that brings new challenges for clubs like yourselves in terms of, look, we've been on this unbelievable journey, but to keep that going, can we keep things fresh? Can we introduce enough new elements to keep us in and around that playoff conversation? So that's what I'm fascinated to see with Stevenage, and I have a real sort of dilemma from the outside, which I think the 10th place prediction reflects in terms of this enormous faith that I have in the club, in Alex Revell, in Leon Hunter, in Phil Wallace, in Cal Pirjani, in this group of players and this group of men as well, but also feeling like the league's getting a bit stronger and there's going to be some new challenges along the way.
Would you say, Gab, in comparisons to other divisions, would this be, in your opinion, obviously we haven't kicked a ball yet, so, we haven't seen the level and, obviously we've got a good idea of what it's going to be. Do you think, in your opinion, it's probably one of the best League Ones for a while, considering the teams and the competitiveness throughout the division?
Yes, I think it could be because I remember when I go back to the split league where there was a really funny situation in the 21-22 campaign when Stevenage were still in League Two at this point, when they had basically Ipswich under Kieran McKenna finished 10th, I think, and 11th was John Coleman and Accrington Stanley. So that shows you the sort of the gap where in the top 10 at that time or top 11, there were it was absolutely chaos where the points bar was so high. You had, I think Plymouth Argyle got to 80 points that season and missed out on the playoffs, which is, I know, mad. And conversely, you had a bottom half where Fleetwood stayed up on 40 points. So it was basically all the points were getting sucked up by that sort of top half. And I think that was the one that I would look back on and think, wow, the standard was so high that season. Whereas I think recently we've seen some of the big boys go out of the league. I think some of the smaller clubs like yourselves have got a bit smarter, some good directors of football coming in that have made a difference, like Craig Cope and Leo Hunter for yourselves and Richard Dorman at Burton. And I think there's been a bit of a trend where some of the smaller clubs, or the have-nots, if you like, have got a bit smarter and a bit better. But I do wonder this season with Sheffield Wednesday coming in, with Leicester coming in, some of the other teams expected to improve. Luton, of course, with their form from the end of last season, I think the bar's been raised, and I expect the action to reflect that.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because when you look at this league, and we're going to come on to the predictions in a little bit, but when you look at the division, and I've been looking at all the the 1 to 24 predictions, and everyone's pretty similar on who they think's going to be up the top and down the bottom, pretty much, right?
Sure.
It really seems to me that all the teams, I say up the top, but in like the top 10, you could easily go up and try to do all right in the Championship. Do you see my point? I mean, like, you've got Leicester, Luton, Plymouth look fantastic. I watched them last night in the League Cup. Although it was the League Cup, you could see that they have a fantastic squad. There's so many teams. Bradford are another. There's so many teams that look really good, really competitive, and I'm very excited to see how it plays out, because we all have a very good idea of who's going to be up there, the teams that have really produced really excellent squads. But it does seem unbelievably competitive throughout the division. And I'm excited to see how that plays out, because we haven't kicked the ball yet. We've all got a good idea. And, in a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, we're going to know exactly. On to the predictions. I was reading your prediction last week. I was buzzing, by the way. 9th. I was like,
that's higher than you've got them.
You rounded me. I did 10th. I thought, do you know what I thought, Gab? I thought, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, perfect. Anywhere around there, I was like 10th place. I read yours. I was like, Gab's got us 9th. Predictions. Your predictions, Gab. For people that I'm certain that all the watchers and listeners have seen your predictions, but maybe for the people that haven't seen, would you like to take us just through your 1 to 24? You don't have to go through it all, but just ones.
Okay. Shall I give you promotion, playoffs, and relegation?
That would be great. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So I have got Luton Town and Plymouth Argyle is my top two, because I think their form from the end of last season is going to carry over. I've actually got Leicester and just missing out, along with Huddersfield and who have I got? Stockport in the top 6 with Bradford City, who I think could be fun. I think they could improve and still stay around the same position, because they've got, I think the league's going to be stronger, but Bradford this year, they've got Jake Beasley as a target man. They've got Adam Phillips getting on the end of things. I think they've made some good signings. I've actually got Sheffield Wednesday missing out, which is a bit of an indication of the strength of the league, because I think it's going to be a bit of a 2-year job for Sheffield Wednesday. I think it might be a rebuild for them. So I've got them just missing out. In terms of my bottom 4, I think Wimbledon and Burton are in for a real struggle this season because of the financial disparity. I've got Bromley going down with them, along with my big surprise, Oxford United, because they're not able to sign anyone because of a transfer embargo, and I think a lot of their players might be getting a little bit restless. So they're my sort of, I've got a feeling they might be the ones to plummet.
Really interesting selection. So Luton and Plymouth are automatically. What do you think those two teams have over like a Leicester City game? Because a lot of
Sure.
people are predicting Leicester to go up in the top two due to the levels of their squad. Is it just more about? Would you say Luton and Plymouth have a bit more of a kind of a unity in what they've built in terms of over Leicester, who it seems, when you look at Leicester, Connor Chapley, Liam Cullen, they're Championship / Premier League level signings, but they don't have that. I don't know what the word is, but that kind of together squad that Luton and Plymouth have built.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Luton and Plymouth are going to be good to go from the start because they've got that synergy and togetherness, and they've built a template and a formula. And I think that it's really important not to underestimate that. I'm a big believer in that sort of continuity over the sort of the star names, the glitz and glamour, the sort of. But I think Leicester have got a big rebuild. I've still got some question marks over Russell Martin. I think I think he's a good in possession coach, but whereas other good in possession coaches, they have an idea of, right, if we lose the ball, we've got this player in this position. I don't really see that with Russell Martin, and I think because of that, and partly because I'm not sure about Leicester from the goalkeeping position. I mean, I think Stevenage have maybe got better goalkeepers than Leicester have. I think they're going to concede too many goals to finish in the top two, and that's why I got them third.
In terms of the bottom bit, then I think you just said there, didn't you? What was it? Burton, Wimbledon, Bromley, and Oxford.
Correct.
Yeah. In terms of and again, we've got Burton on the big opening day on Saturday. Would you say for those squads, it's about how thin they are, or do you just think they just have an upgrade to stay?
Yeah, so I think Burton, for example, I think they've got a core of probably 13 or 14 players that might be okay, providing no sales, which is no guarantee because it is I think an aim of NFG, their ownerships, to halve the losses that they've made. So I think that's going to have a big bearing. So it's not so much that I mind their best 11, and I really like Gary Bowyer. I think he's done a cracking job there, but I think that over the course of the season, so in a way, I think you're possibly playing Burton at a bad time. I'd rather be playing Burton later on in the season when the fixtures mount up, because I think they're really going to struggle with that. So opening day, mind you, you've got a very good record on the opening day, haven't you? So so you might do it. So we'll see. But I'm worried about Burton Albion.
Why do you think? Right, I was thinking this today, Gab, because I was at work and I was going through. I've kind of already gone through the sides, but because I've never been this excited about my team in the league ever, Gab. I was like, got to go back on, have a look at all the squads. Why is it? I'll use Burton as an example, right? Because again, we've got them the big opening day. We're really confident. We're really happy we've got them, but also at the same time, I watched them in the League Cup, and they actually looked quite good going forward. I was where I think they looked really open was from midfield to the back line.
Right. Okay.
I think they're going to be punished a lot. But why is it with a lot of these clubs, and I use Burton as an example, they know they're going into such a big season where they know that those kind of fine margins are so tight. If you get it wrong just a little bit, you can really be down the bottom of this division. Why do you think they don't get that right, if you know what I mean? Because it's, in my mind, surely these clubs know the league they're going into. But Burton have lost so many players. They've had so many trialists. I just don't understand why they don't get it right prior to the big kickoff.
Sorry, just repeat that. In terms of they've had so many trial. So why don't they make those signings earlier? Do you mean?
Yeah. Why is it with certain clubs? It's not just Burton, to be fair. Why is it that they don't do it early and get it? Do you know what I mean? Or is that just?
I think it might be partly a financial thing. So they might have been banking on some big sales. So I imagine Burton Albion went into the summer probably not expecting that they would still have Charlie Webster or still have Kyron Lofthouse or certain players that are, of a certain value. And Suleiman Kribali, by the way, one to watch. I think he might be 17 midfielder, very talented. So I think they'd probably expected more players to have more big sales to have gone. And again, I think if you're going into the window with we've got to halve our losses, that maybe holds the club back from going for big. The other thing is earlier in the window, players have more unrealistic expectations in terms of salary. Whereas later on in the window, it's like, right, I've really got to sort myself out now. So there's probably a bit of that as well. So Burton have been probably relying on trialists to sort of boost the numbers while they're in pre-season mode. So yeah, I imagine they're looking for a key sale to get some of those numbers up.
And lastly, Oxford United, obviously you've predicted them to go down, which I have seen actually a few other people have got Oxford down there as well. Do you think with Oxford, again, we've got them second match, our first home match.
Okay,
Oxford, so we're happy over that. We feel.
I think that's really good timing, by the way, to play them in August.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Some of their players are going to be. Yeah, some of their players are going to be looking to get away and, we're going to have a move. That sort of uncertain time, I would fancy your chances in that one.
Do you think with Oxford then, do you think a case of Oxford, knowing that they're in the transfer embargo, and I think we said last night when the audio took over, that, Frankie Kent doing his MCL was just such a massive loss for them, considering how good of a player he was. And, a lot of people said he was one of the best signings in the division for them. Do you think for Oxford, it's a case of just trying to get to January and seeing if you can somewhat salvage a squad that can somewhat turn a season around? Or, well, in your prediction, you've got them to go down. So obviously it's probably going to be too much of an ask for Oxford.
Yeah.
Again, Brannigan's a good player, but it just feels like they haven't done enough. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. So actually, they don't have a player who wasn't at the club last season because Frankie Kent is injured for the season, and Ruben Riesken, who they have signed, but he was there last season. So normally after a relegation, you want to completely clear the decks and start afresh, and they're not really able to do that, which is a worry for me. So in terms of bringing in some fresh energy, along with the fact they've got a head coach in Aaron Ramsey, who only just retired from playing. We've no idea how good he's going to be. So it's not so much the ability of the squad, because I actually think they've got, in terms of the players, if we're looking at profiles, it's actually okay. But sometimes football isn't turning up and comparing Wikipedia pages. It's the mentality of the group. It's what's the mood around the club? How good is the management? There's a lot of other factors that go into it. And I'm worried about Oxford United as a club generally. I look at the fact that they need this new stadium project to come off, otherwise they might be homeless in a couple of years. That's a big worry. The owner wasn't able to produce proof of funds. That's a big worry. So there's lots of things that, is there going to be a fire sale in January if they've not got the money? So there's lots of issues with Oxford United that I'm concerned about, and that's why I've got them in my bottom four.
Borough fans, again, you can go and find Gab's 1-24 on Gab's Twitter. Was it sponsored by Bet365, Gab?
Bet365 was my 1-24, yeah.
That's amazing. By the way, go and check that out, guys. Gab's got predictions in all three of the divisions. And it's a brilliantly great dialogue. Please go make sure you check that out on the socials, and you can find that on X, on Gab's Twitter. Well, I say Twitter handle. It's not even called Twitter anymore. But even though I call it Twitter still rather than X. I should start calling it X, really. You can go and find those predictions. Also, guys, if you have got questions for Gab, throw them in the comments. I can see a lot of comments are coming in, but any questions, guys, fire them away. I can ask Gab whilst we've got Gab here. He's a hot ticket, Gab, so get them in. Trust me, get those tickets in. Get those questions in. There we go.
Yeah. I like to call myself a hot ticket on my dating profile.
Unfortunately, Gab, I can't say the same for Andy. Poor Ads.
Oh no, he's the yin to your yang, isn't he, Andy?
He is. You have to have that balance, don't you? Because I think if I did a podcast on this season, which is the one I've been most excited about for our team, I think I just bore people. No, I'm not having it anymore. I can't take this positivity, especially if we go win the opening 3 or something.
What a palaver.
What a palaver, right? Literally. I'm loving this. Thank God the audio's here, can I just say? Next banner, I'm really excited about this because, again, I know that Gab has predicted us 9th place, and we're going to really get into us and kind of Gab's opinion on what he thinks of us. Actually, Gab, really quickly, just before we do, I've had a question come in for you, actually, really quickly, from Jake. Gab, what was the reason you had us to stay up? Sorry to drag away from the pub league of League One.
Bloody blimey. He's been in the second tier of English football 5 minutes for the first time since 1961. And all of a sudden he gets ideas above his station. honestly.
He does. He does, doesn't he? He
Oh.
does. Um,
Reason for Lincoln City to stay up. I think again, it kind of comes back to what I'm saying about Oxford and what I'm saying about Leicester. It's like it's not football is more than player profiles. Like it takes more than just he's good, he's had a good history, he's at this level to be successful in football. It's the unity of the group, it's the management, it's the continuity, it's the clarity of strategy. So many other things go into it. And I think, obviously the financial disparity is a challenge for Lincoln. And I'm sure they'll be in the bottom six, but I think they're very disrespected. This is a team that got 102 points last season. And they've only lost one key player and their manager, who wasn't really taking the training sessions last season. It was Tom Shaw and Chris Cohen. And don't get me wrong, Michael Scabala did an unbelievable job last season. I absolutely give him his flowers for that and fully deserves his chance at Bristol City as an exciting young manager. But I think Chris Cohen and Tom Shaw, it wasn't just Scabala who did what Lincoln City did last season. It was a whole club. And I think that for them to get to 102 points, the way they've been spoken about, it's as if they're talking about a Stevenage team that got to 68 points under Graham Westley and sort of sneaked into the playoffs. And then let's say you'd won the playoffs and got into the championship. That's how people are talking about Lincoln City. I think they look at the name Lincoln City before they look at the group of players and what they've achieved as a collective. So, yes, I think Lincoln City are a brilliantly run football club, and I see them staying up.
Do you know what? I completely agree with that, because we've had not a similar thing, obviously, because Lincoln are obviously in the Championship or in League One, but we've had a similar thing with our players. And I was having a debate with actually a Burton fan, actually.
Yeah.
And I was, I said, a couple of weeks ago prior to the big week as we're in, that, I really love our squad and I love what we've produced, because, again, we've retained the majority of those players that have been up the top of their careers for 3 to 5 years. But the new players that we've brought to produce this new squad are players that within our system will evolve. And someone made a point and said, yeah, but Farley, you've signed Terence Van Cooten, he's been in Burton for 2 years. You signed Terry Taylor, who's been relegated. And I said, yeah, but if we were going to go off that merit, Cole Pigiani would have been a player that you wouldn't have even gone near.
Oh my God, yeah.
So I don't look at players that have been in it's what's the ability of the player, and in our shape, in our system, in our environment and squad, can he become a top player? That I think that's what people lose traction on, don't they?
100%.
And it's a similar feeling. Moving on to us then, and again, I'm very excited for this, because I know that you put us ninth, Gab, and that is. Well, again, I put us 10th, so we're pretty much similar. So I had a similar mindset to you, but still a brilliant, magnificent prediction for us. And we would be so happy with that finish if we got it. But thoughts on us as a whole. Now, it's been a big preparation for us. Again, I've mentioned about kind of what we've done with our squad. We know it's the biggest season for us. We know it's the best league that we've been in, and we are fully prepared out there. There are doubts, and people have said, can there be goal contributions? Can Dan Kemp and Phoenix Patterson have real breakout seasons this season and support Jamie Reid with those goals? And a lot of people are saying, if that's the case, wow, we could have an unbelievable side given the depth at the back. But kind of what's your thoughts on us, Gab, going into this big season, the squad we have, and how you think we'll do as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I think the bit that I would really like to focus on in this podcast, Matt, is the attack, because just because I think that's going to be the difference for me in terms of that could be the difference between playoffs and top half or top half and bottom half. I think the attack, because as much as I want to wax lyrical about Carl Pigiani, as I always want to when I'm on this podcast, and talk about the midfield and all these options, I think the attack is probably the most curious part of the squad. I think we'll agree in terms of is the improvement going to come from new additions? Is Leon Hunter going to pull off a brilliant loan signing or two between now and the end of the window that just offers that sprinkling of star quality, which I think the squad needs? Or do you have it in the building already? Is Phoenix Patterson about to become the League One assist king because he can put a ball on a sixpence? Or is Cam Campbell going to start to come into his own with some moments of individualism? Or is Jamie Reid going to go back to scoring 20 goals after a respectable 14 last year? Is Ollie Sanderson, the club that they were all in on Ollie Sanderson, whatever I might think about the signing and whether it's at the level the club were all in on Ollie Sanderson, no questions asked. They were very big on wanting him. Can he be a difference maker with that height and physicality and pace and getting in behind? Could he be a wild card? I think this is fascinating, and I'd love to hear from you, Matt, on how you're feeling about the attacks coming together and to what extent you need more additions versus actually, lads, we've got some good players in the building.
So that's a great question. So I was literally going to mention this actually. I was thinking of it when you were talking there, Gab. I actually think, look, when we look at our squad, and again, I know I said earlier about what we've done to produce this squad for this big season, but in terms of the final third, there is a lot of depth. I mean, if we go through the players, Jamie Reid, Josh McGuinness, who, by the way, when we signed Josh McGuinness, I felt got a lot of stick, and we know the style of player that Josh McGuinness is, and I actually think within our system, he could actually do really well. Look, he's not going to go and score you 20 goals, of course, but he'll get you goals. And in our system, as we saw the other night in the League Cup, he will score goals. He will get you goals. So another big one. Ollie Sanderson. We've got Joe Van Malcolm, which I'm assuming might go out on loan to a League Two team, I think. And then we go Phoenix Patterson, Dan Kemp, Jordan Roberts, Chem Campbell. There's a lot of depth in our final third of attackers. So I really feel that I think Jamie Reid will have a good season. I think Reedy will be absolutely fine and will score. I think Josh McGuinness will get one or two here or there. And then I think, for me, I think Dan Kemp and Phoenix Patterson are going to have big seasons. I think in our system, in this squad, they're going to have big seasons. And then we also forget about Chem Campbell. This has been a player that's been out the whole prep period with a back issue, but we've been told by Revs that he's ready to go from the big opener this week, and actually a big player who does contribute. So really, when you look at it, Gab, and again, back to you, do you think there's enough depth there? I know that we probably are expecting another striker to come in on loan. I think that's word around the club. But do you think there's enough depth? Because to me, that seems enough depth, but I could be wrong. Oh, I think you're on mute, Gab.
There we go.
I thought the audio went. I went like, no.
What happened? This little thing got pulled out of the.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, there we go. So do I see? No, there. I think Josh McGuinness. I think let's respect Josh McGuinness, because he's somebody I've always respected across his Football League career as somebody I've always felt like he can play well without scoring, because he's a very selfless striker. I think he's going to set a great example to Ollie Sanderson, and if you go for a loan, that player that comes in. At the same time, I would think if you could get an Mbik, and you could guarantee, if you could get him fit. There is that kind of striker that would possibly be the difference between a 9th and a 6th for me, like that right centre forward that could complement Jamie Reid. Maybe you've got it in the building in Ollie Sanderson. We'll have to wait and see on that. I think I'm excited about Phoenix Patterson. I do maybe think, I don't know about the right hand side. Is that an area that you think could possibly look at with something different?
Yeah, it's really interesting because we have the two shapes, and Alex Revell said this in the preparation period. Our two shapes are the 3-5-2 and the 4-2-3-1, and they're going to be our shape this season. So if he goes 3-5-2, he has been playing Phoenix as a left wing back, but he's looked brilliant there. He's looked right, because basically that back line, then you've got Phil in goal. You've got Luke Wilding or Jasper Patterson wing back. You've then got, how about this for a free? Terence Van Cooten, Pidge, Lewis Freestone, and then you've got Phoenix as a wing back that can get forward.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, really nice. But then 4-2-3-1, he's been playing Phoenix on the left side and Jordan Roberts on the right. And then he's got Kempy in the middle, Jamie Reid up top. So that's kind of been the setup for the prep period. And it's really difficult because I think Alex Revell really likes the 4-2-3-1. I do too, but I do really like the 3-5-2. I think that shape is really, and you can still play feed the role where you're involved.
I think the fact that you've already got 3 senior strikers in the building suggests that 2 up top is going to be used a fair bit this season.
Would you go Reid and McGuinness? Would you go Reid and McGuinness as the 2 if you were choosing?
Oh, good question.
It's an interesting one because everyone goes, Josh McGuinness is going to be someone that comes on, but actually, when you go through the strikers, is he?
I think I'd possibly go Reed and Sanderson just because I see Sanderson as a wild card. There is a question mark over him from an outside point of view, just because he'd had loans in League Two that didn't go to plan before he went to, I think it was Halifax in the National League, was it? And so for him to jump back up to League One, not even League Two, feels like a bit of a jump for him. And so I think if I was, on his team agency, I suppose, where I would be saying maybe League Two is a better level for him. And it wouldn't shock me, actually, if it comes to January and Stevenage think, you know what, he could do with 5 months in League Two on loan and will continue to develop it. And I think the length of the contract sort of suggests that there's an element of long-term development in that signing. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think I would possibly, if there is room in the budget for one more, I would go for that.
Really interesting to hear. Again, Gab has predicted us 9th place. We've got a real competitive squad here that can get into the top part of the league, and I think that's the way we've put it. We've produced a real competitive team that can get into the top part. Fingers crossed we can achieve that in an unbelievable league that it's going to be kicking off Saturday. And really, the start for us is really good. I mean, Burton away in the opener, Oxford, Doncaster, which I think will be a lot more difficult than people give credit for.
Yeah, I agree.
Then we've got, Peterborough away, Barnsley away. There's some really good games at the start. The first big game is Luton in September on a Thursday night at home, which is on Sky Sports. So we have got, and then Leyton Orient away. We have got a really, really good start. I think that start's going to be really, really big. Gab, lastly on us, obviously you've predicted us 9th, but a player for you, my man, in our squad that you're most excited about this season or most excited about seeing?
I think it's Phoenix Patterson. In terms of excitement, in terms of like the known quantities, I'll probably talk about Pidge and other players. But I think in terms of the excitement, it's probably Phoenix Patterson, because I think if you say to me right now, who's the one who could take a massive leap in terms of productivity from last season, I think it would be Phoenix Patterson, just because I know how creative he was for Fleetwood Town at this level, and I know what he can do. So, and he's still, reasonably young player. He's at a good age to sort of kick on as Phoenix Patterson. So, yeah, he's someone I'm very excited about.
I love the way that you threw Pidge in there as well. I know you were going on the Phoenix, and I was like, yes, he got the big man in there.
Obviously, I'm never gonna pass up the opportunity to talk to you about Carl Pejani, Matt.
And do you know what I love about him for this season as well, Gab? He's gone back to the long blonde hair. It's long again. It's long. And let me tell you, whenever Cole Pidgeani's got long hair, you're in for a killer season.
He's gone away from the helmet, has he?
Yeah, he's gone away from that, and he's gone back with the big, long Italian blonde locks. And let me tell you, when they're out, you're in for a killer season. That means he means business. And let me tell you, he's back to that haircut.
Maybe the locks can get in the way of shots and that kind of
thing. I like that one. Locks in front of shots.
Yeah, marginal gains.
Oh, yeah. And he's part Italian. And you know what they say about Italian defenders? I mean,
who's his class? He'd give Maldini a run for his money.
He would. Let me tell you, the Italians could defend a goal the size of a bus. I'm convinced. I'm absolutely convinced they could. Now, Gab, I've set some questions up for you based on League One, not just us, because obviously, we want to get your opinion of us, which you've just done, and the league. And again, the Borough fans or the fans that are listening or watching this live, guys, also put some questions in, because I would like some questions for Gab. I know Jake put one in about Lincoln, but if you have got a question, could be about us, could be about the league, could be about anything. Just shove it in the comments, and that'd be great for Gab. Based on League One, Gab, underachiever for you. Who do you think is going to underachieve massively in the league?
I think Oxford United are an obvious one, because I'm quite worried about them for the reasons I outlined earlier. To give you another answer for that, I suppose I'd probably pick out Sheffield Wednesday, because I think that whenever they're at League One level, there's probably going to be an expectancy from their point of view to be in the top 6. But I think because it's a brand new team that have got to build something completely from scratch, I think that they're sort of, they're ahead of teams in some ways because of the finances, but they're also behind in others in that they're sort of, they're still, the team's got to mesh and come together. So I'm not quite sure about Sheffield Wednesday. I think promotion might be a 2-year job for them.
Okay, so you heard it there from Gab. Oxford and Sheffield Wednesday for Gab's underachievers. Gabs, we're going to go to the opposite now. Overachiever. Who do you think is going to overachieve potentially?
I think Doncaster are ones to watch.
A lot of people have been saying Doncaster, haven't they? Yeah.
Yeah. I think they've got Alfie May in, who I think is a top forward at this level. I really like the signings of Isaac Hutchinson, who they got in the number 10 role. I think he's possibly a bit of an upgrade on what they had last season. And I also don't mind them signing Jordan Thomas as a replacement for Luke Monaghan. I think that if you look at their form in the second half of last season, it was pretty compelling as well. And so I think with some of those additions, I think they could be ones to watch.
Interesting. Doncaster United, yeah.
Doncaster Rovers.
Sorry, Doncaster Rovers. So what am I heard about? Doncaster United. Yeah, that would be quite a good name actually, but no, we can't take Rovers away from Doncaster, could you? But yeah, Alfie May, Isaac Hutchinson. I know we were linked with Isaac Hutchinson, I think, in the window. Really, really good player, Isaac Hutchinson. Yeah, built a really good team. Gab, throughout the whole division, for you, player to watch. Are there any players that you're excited for?
I think in terms of who I think could be player of the year this season, it's Casey Palmer at Luton. I think he's a lovely footballer, fantastic passer of ball, great vision, really knits their attack together. So I think Casey Palmer could be the one for Luton Town. I'm also I'm quite looking forward to watching Ryan Glover, a bit more of an outside shout at Stockport. I thought it was brilliant for Barnet last season. Really creative, sort of flair, wide player with great industry as well. I think Ryan Glover could be a fun player to come into the league as well.
Really good shouts there. I love that. Casey, Palmer at Luton, and Glover at Stockport. Yeah, very good signing that. Got a question from John. I think Gab might have answered this earlier, but John has asked, how tight are we expecting for the league to be this season? I'm guessing John means both up the top and down the bottom. Do you think it will be really tight at both ends, Gab?
Yeah, I do. I think that I'm quite big on Luton and Plymouth Argyle, and I'd expect Leicester to be a close third. But actually, beyond that, between let's say 4th and 17th, I expect there to be a lot of movement. I think there could be the playoff scramble. I'm expecting to be quite competitive with lots of teams in the mix. Whereas I think at the bottom of the table, I think there's going to be sort of 6 or 7 teams sort of that are struggling, maybe. So that's the sort of shape that I expect things to take.
Really good answer there, and a really good question there from John. Another question from me, Gav. I'm quite excited to ask this. Best stadium out the whole league for you, if you had
Best
to pick,
stadium,
because you got King Power now, you got obviously Hillsborough. Kind of, if you had to choose.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. So, do you go best stadium for the sort of the size and the grandeur? In which case, probably Hillsborough. But then, do you go for the sort of the quirk? So, for instance, I love going to Adams Park because it's surrounded by the hillsides, and that's always quite nice. So, I think great question. I think I'd go for Valley Parade because I think it's got a bit of both. It's got that sort of stature and grandeur about it, but it's also got a lovely scenery around it. So I'll go Valley Parade.
That's a great shout, by the way. There's something industrial about that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's in the middle of the community, isn't it? It's right in the midst of it, and I like stadiums that are in it like that.
Yeah,
I think the King Power will be great. I think Hillsborough. I really like trying to go through the league in my head now. I really like Bromley will be interesting because
Bromley will be fun.
Bromley will be fun.
Have you got them on a Saturday or is there a Tuesday night one for you?
Are you ready for this one? We've got Bromley away. So Bromley at home is over Easter, right?
Okay.
Bromley away, New Year's Day.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite a local one. That's not too bad, actually. You don't want Boxing Day and New Year's Day to be a big schlep. You want it to be a nice localish one.
You're going to hate me for saying this, right? Well, no, you'll find this quite funny. Again, I'm so excited right, for this season that I know all of the fixtures. If you got up the fixture list, right, and told me a date, I'd know it.
Okay. Are we talking for the whole of League One or for Stevenage?
So for our fixtures,
Okay.
right, our fixtures, if you got up the fixture list
All right.
and told me a date, I would be able to tell you who we played. I'm not even kidding.
Okay.
I'm absolutely obsessed. See if you can try and catch me out.
6th of February.
Doncaster away.
Wow, that is amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
go on. 28th of November.
Oh, 28th of November. That is 28th of November. Blackpool at home.
Yes, you got it right.
Mate, I'm not going to get one. I'm that obsessed. I will not get one wrong. Go on. Have a couple more. Go on.
Okay. 20th of March.
20th of March. And by the way, I just want to say, I promise you,
Yeah.
I haven't got the fixtures in front of me. I haven't got them on my phone. I haven't got them on the screen. I'm being completely honest because I've been having this competition with my family, and they're just like, sorry, what was that one again, Gab?
20th of March.
20th of March. So that is just after we play Oxford away. Oxford away is the week before that match. So that is the 20th of March. We play Oxford away. Notts County at home.
Yes! He's done it.
Don't miss.
Oh my god!
No, it's like a party trick. My party trick is you name me a date and I'll fix this and I'll tell you what it is. 100%.
I used to have that with when I was growing up. We used to go on holiday and I would ask. I'd memorize the results that Birmingham City had, and or what we'd done against each team, and I'd always be able to know. So I'm really impressed that you're able to memorize the fixtures. That's really impressive.
It's just honestly, I've never been this excited for our season. That I was just like memorized instantly. I went through the other day. I went through our fixture list from August to New Year's. Yeah. I just did every game, and everyone was like, how do you know that off by heart? It's ridiculous. Like, yeah, I know it. Another question from me. We've only got a couple more left. Again, guys, if you've got a question for Gab, throw it in because we haven't got long left. Question from me, Gab. I'm really excited to hear your thought about this. Team that you're most intrigued about?
Wow, great question. Do you know what? The one that I'm fascinated by is Mansfield Town, because I'm like, with them, I'm like a cat sort of scratching around at a torch because I just can't work them out because I've never really believed in the process that Mansfield have. I'm quite a big believer that if you don't have loads of money, you invest in young players and try and sell them on and get that growth potential in the squad. And what Mansfield do, their squad profile at the moment is they've got 10 players who are in the 30s, so veterans pretty much. And they've got 8 players, I think, who are in their late 20s. And they've had this sort of squad age profile for the last few years, pretty much. And I've always felt like the late 20s players are probably going to stay at the same level and the players in their 30s are going to drop off. And it never happens because they've been in promotion contention each season, League Two. They went up in 2024. They stayed up comfortably the following season. And last season, they got to 10th. So they've improved season on season rather than regressing, even though I don't really buy their sort of way of squad building. It goes against the sort of logic that I would go with. And so I've got them 19th this year, even though they finished 10th last year and they proved me wrong time and time again. And they might do it again this season. But I can't work out that I can't work them out. So I suppose that's why I'm intrigued by Mansfield Town.
Love that. It's always going to be very interesting to see how they do with David McGoldrick and runnings that they've made. Actually, a question for you, Gab, in the comments. Really good question, this actually. Only got a couple more questions left. This is from Alfred. He said, "Hi, Gab. Who do you think has had the best transfer window in League One this season?" It's a great question.
Yeah, great question, Alfred. Leighton Orient for me. I think they need to have a great transfer window, but I think since they got Scott Mitchell in as director of football, their recruitment has improved so much. Like I've been so impressed with some of the profiles they brought in. Who have they just signed? They've
Another
got
defender, wasn't it? Was it another
you what?
defender?
Yeah, they got in Alfie Gilchrist, who's actually played well in the Championship before with Sheffield United. They got a lad called Somte Boniface, who's been an England youth international at left back. I think they've done a lot to address some of the cultural issues they had last season. They signed Isaac Hayden in midfield, which I think is a brilliant addition. Nathan Baxter in goal. So impressed. Yusuf Hamrich on loan from Tottenham. Yeah. Nick Oyakunle on loan from Southampton, who's been one of the top goal scorers in the PL2. So yeah, very impressed with Leyton Orient's recruitment. I expect them to finish in the top half.
Yeah, I like Dobra as well. I think
yeah.
Really good signing. That's a great pickup. That is. He kind of reminds me of Dan Kemp in the respect of Phoenix Patson, that they're players in the league below, and then you can kind of get them to the level, and they're made for the level. Sure. Really good question there, Alfred. I think I've got a question for me. I think in the comments from Archie. Hi mate, it's Archie. Nick Mountford's son. Okay, Nick's one of our coaches in the first team. Do you think any players need to go on loan? I think Jack Taylor and Joe Knight. Yeah, I think Jack Taylor and Joe Knight would potentially go out. I think Jack Taylor more. I think Jack will be loaned out to League Two to get him game time in League Two. And I'd add Jover Malcolm onto that list as well if potentially he would go.
And maybe you've got a backup goalkeeper who's currently back up to Philip Marshall as well, I think.
Yeah, so we just signed Dan Barden, who was from Norwich. Originally been on loan everywhere. He's the backup to Phil. Really tall, by the way. He's like 6'6". It's massive. Big long curly hair. Another one with long curly hair in the team. But yeah, he's back up to Phil. Which is great. So I think the squad is pretty much done. Maybe another striker in on loan, I think people are suggesting, but the squad's ready to go. Gab, have you had fun tonight, mate?
I've had a lot of fun, yes.
It's been brilliant, my man. The big season preview. It's been absolutely fantastic having you on, and it is such an unbelievable league that is going to be kicking off on Saturday, my man. The big kickoff, the big season, the 26/27 League One season, our biggest season. Come on, it's going to be brilliant. So excited. Gab, really quickly, my man. I know all the Borough fans probably follow you. They all do. We say it all the time. But where can they go and follow you, mate, if they haven't done already?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Gab Sutton for lots of daily EFL conversations, and you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, EFL Debate. I'm also doing some match preview content for individual big games across the season, which is available to our members only. So if you fancy a little bit of bonus content, then you can have a look at that. But yeah, looking forward to another season of EFL action.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm going to tune in for those match previews. That's really cool. I like that. That's a nice new little addition. That's going to be great fun. Yeah, Borough fans, please make sure to go and follow Gab on Gab's socials. Unbelievable content as always, and you know Gab's had so much going on with the big kickoff this week, of course. So please go and follow Gab on the socials. Borough fans, thank you so much for tuning in to the big season preview. We are 3 days away from the big kickoff, the big season. It's going to be an unbelievable season, incredible season, and we are only 3 days away. Now, guys, we will be back tomorrow night where we will be doing a big opening day preview where we have got David coming on. Burton fan David coming on for a quick match preview on the big opening day. So stay tuned for that. That'll be about 8:30 p.m. tomorrow. We'll double check the time tomorrow. Make sure to give us a follow, like, and a subscribe. And guys, we are 3 days out. Have a fantastic Wednesday. We will see you tomorrow night for the opening day big preview. And at this time, guys, I've been Matt Farley. This has been Gab Sutton as well. This has been the big season preview, and we will see you tomorrow night. And finally, you've been listening to the Stevenage Football Club podcast.